Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the meeting of Monday, February 24th, 2020 to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bermudez.
Present. Present.
Councilman Clark.
Present.
Councilman Gale.
Here.
Councilman LeBron. Here. Councilman Mictum.
Here.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Here.
Councilwoman Rossetti.
Here.
Councilman Sanchez. Councilwoman Surgeon. Here. You have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'd like to call up Scout Troop 105 from Hartford, Connecticut, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. May everybody please face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Two.
Thank you.
Jimmy.
Mr. Majority, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I would like to make a motion to place on the consent calendar the following items. Item number 1, Mayor Bronin with a company. I'm sorry, you're correct. Through you, Madam President, I would like to make the motion to suspend the council rules. 4, to add Resolution 21, which is a resolution from Council President Mally Rosado requesting that the Court of Common Council shall interview candidates for the hiring of a town and city clerk with a transparent and inclusive process. And item number 22, resolution from Councilman Gale, Clark, Councilwoman Rosado, and Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon with the resolution in support of the MDC's integrated plan and claim against the Department of Environment and Energy Protection.
Second.
Are there any discussions? Any discussions? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
On the suspension of the rules, Councilwoman Bermudez.
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Councilman Gale.
Yes.
Councilman LeBron.
Yes.
Councilman Mictum.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti.
Yes.
Councilwoman Surgeon. Yes. Rules are suspended.
Mr. Majority, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make a motion that we place the following items on the consent calendar. Item number 1, with accompanying resolution, to accept the donation of a bus shelter from the Greater Hartford. 2, with accompanying resolution, authorizing the city to accept a grant of $84,578 from the Department of Health and Human Services, Public Health Emergency Preparedness from the Capital Region Council of Governments. Item number 12, with accompanying resolution confirming the reappointment of Frank Lord and Jennifer Cassidy to the Greater Hartford Transit District and to postpone the appointment of Raul Irizarry. Item number 13, with accompanying resolution authorizing the city to sell 126 and 130 New Park Avenue, 161 Francis Avenue, and 8 Francis Court to the New Samaritan Corporation. Item number 18, with accompanying resolution confirming the nomination of interim Chief Operating Officer Thea Montanez as Chief Operating Officer. Item number 20, with accompanying resolution requesting the Hartford City Council in collaboration with the Mayor's Office and the Hartford Board of Education to declare the city of Hartford a STEAM city.
Are there any discussions? Any discussions? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
On the consent calendar, Councilwoman Bermudez,
Yes.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mictum,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Surgeon. Pass.
Mr. Majority, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make a motion to refer the following items. Item number 5 to the Operations Management, Budget, and Government Accountability, which is a resolution that would authorize the execution of an extended lease agreement between the City of Hartford and the Hartford Athletic for the use of a parking lot during events at the stadium. Item number 3, with accompanying resolution authorizing the city to accept a grant of $770,000 for the Department of Health and Human Services Injury Prevention Program from the Connecticut Department of Public Health to the Health and Human Services Department, and item number 4 to the Health and Human Services Committee, with accompanying resolution authorizing the city to accept a grant of $62,000 for the Department of Health and Human Services ODMAP project from the Connecticut Department of Public Health. Item number 22, with accompanying resolution in support of the MDC's integrated plan and claim against DEEP to the Parks and Public Works and Environment Committee.
Second.
Are there any discussions? Any discussions? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
On referred items, Councilwoman Bermudez,
Yes.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mictum,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez, Councilwoman Surgeon. Pass.
Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make a motion to receive the following items. Item number 6, with accompanying resolution accompanying Greater Hartford Flood Commission Annual Report. Item number 7, with accompanying resolution for the Hartford State of the Forest Report for 2019. Item number 9, communication concerning the nomination interim Police Chief Jason Thody as Chief of Police for the City of Hartford. Item number 10, with accompanying resolution concerning the postponement of resolution calling for a search and interview process for Hartford's next police chief that involves Hartford's residents and police department employees.
Second. Second.
Through you, Council President. For those who have been following item number 10, which is a resolution calling for the search and interview process for Hartford's next police chief, submitted by Councilman Josh Mictum and myself. So this particular resolution was seen before the Public Safety and Quality of Life Committee, and it was seen last week. And the item was heard. It was postponed. A motion was made by the members of that committee for it to be postponed. And so that item is postponed until it is to be withdrawn by us who are the original drafters of such said resolution. So I just wanted to provide that update for those who have been following that.
Councilman Gale?
A point of order. I'm not sure. Was item number 8 to be included in either the consent calendar or the received items? It was on the consent calendar. My apologies. Thank you.
Are there any further discussions? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
On the received items, Councilwoman Bermudez,
Yes.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mictum,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilwoman Surgeon. Items are received.
Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you. Through you, Madam President, I would like to make the motion to postpone the following items. Item 15, an ordinance amending the general fund appropriations to reflect revised project costs relative to public improvements in the Burrs Latino Studies Academy. Items number 16, an ordinance amending general fund appropriations to reflect revised project costs relative to public improvements at Buckley High School. And item number 17, an ordinance making it unlawful for any person to sell or offer for sale any flavored tobacco products.
Second.
On the postponed items, Councilwoman Bermudez,
Yes.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mictum,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Surgeon. Items are postponed.
Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Through you, Madam President, I would like to make the motion to refer the following items to the Committee of the Whole with a hearing date of March 4th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Item number 19, resolution appointing Noel F. McGregor to serve as the Hartford Town and City Clerk for an indefinite term in accordance with the Charter, Municipal Code, and all applicable laws of the state of Connecticut. And item number 21, and I hope this is the proper resolution.
It is.
Resolved that the Court of Common Council shall convene a meeting of the Committee of the Whole on March 4th, 2020 at 7 p.m. for the sole purpose of interviewing any and all candidates for the position of clerk.
Are there any discussions? Any discussions? Councilwoman Bermudez?
Through you, Council President. So the resolution item number 21, which, okay. Can somebody read the replacement? I just want to make sure that I received the right one for item number 21. Can the language be read out loud, please? For item number 21.
We have a question? Mr. Majority Leader?
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to, due to the fact that item 21 can be called by the council president at any time, I would like to make a motion that we withdraw item 21 and just move to vote on item number 19.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just for a point of clarification, there was a question asked as to whether there's action necessary on item number 21. Item number 21 only resolves to call a meeting of the Committee of the Whole, which Council President has the discretion to do alone. And so for that reason, there's no council action necessary. Council's office will put out a proper notice for the meeting as to the date and time and the agenda items, which is all that's necessary.
Councilman Mixtum?
Thank you, but just so we're clear, that meeting will be the 4th of March at
Correct.
7 p.m. And
That
the
is
purpose
correct.
of it will be to
That is
interview
correct.
clerk
And I will
candidates.
notice it with the town clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you. So for clarification purposes, we are now voting on item 19. Okay. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
On item 19, being referred to the Committee of the Whole, Councilwoman Bermudez,
Yes.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mictum,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez, and Councilwoman Surgeon. Pass.
Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I'd like to make a motion that we take action on item number 11 with a company resolution confirming the nomination of Interim Chief Jason Thody, as Chief of Police for the City of Hartford.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to be voting no, and I just want to explain why. I think we have a problem in this city that sort of runs through everything that has to do with the relationship between the residents and the government, and that's a lack of trust. It's a sense that the citizens, the residents, don't have an effect, and they can't expect a response and transparency and a conversation with their government. I mean, I think if you look at all the people up here, the highest vote getter in the last election got not 6,000 votes in a city of 125,000 people. So we have an involvement and a trust problem. And when we talk about the police, I think that problem is at its highest level because the police have the most power over us in some sense of any part of the government. Now, I'm going to try not to go on too long, but I do want to give an example. When I lived in Frog Hollow, I lived on Rush Street for many years, and I would look out my window at the Casa Nueva projects. And every summer night, on the weekends, I would see the same thing happen, which was that folks would be outside listening to music, working on a car, just not making trouble. And the police would roll up, hop out, put everyone in cuffs, check everyone's ID, probably run warrants, I'm not sure, see who's supposedly trespassing or not, and then let most everyone go. I mean, I watched this tens of times when I lived over there. And I saw it happen to my neighbors, and they didn't like it, obviously, because they would just be there visiting with their neighbors, and then suddenly they got to spend 15 minutes with their hands behind their back. And I would say, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to file a complaint? And what they would say is, ¿Qué podemos hacer? What can we do? There was a sense that there could be no response, right? That there could be nothing that the city would do to respect what was happening to them. Now, it's not the end of the world, but I think it's representative of the breakdown in the relationship between the residents and the police. There's a lack of trust. Now, the mayor, obviously, as many of my colleagues have pointed out, has the discretion to name his police chief. And it's probably true that the mayor could take a lot of different routes to making the police work well. He could hire different people, he could take different tacks, and things would probably work out. But the way that this nomination came down, that is not how you build trust, all right? We are a city that is 82% people of color, but our police force is 66% white. Most of the police force lives outside the city. We need our mayor to take steps to show our people that the police force is going to take steps toward representing them. and toward looking like them, toward changing what that police force looks like. The mayor has to do that. And by just picking someone without interviews, without making any apparent effort to find a candidate of color, that's not how you build trust. We know that in this case, there was a candidate of color who wanted the job, and when he sat down with the mayor, it was so the mayor could tell him, I already picked somebody else. And that's just not how you build trust. That's not how you tell the people of this city that they are respected and listened to. Now, all of this is not to say that Interim Chief Doty isn't a good candidate. I think he is a good candidate. When he's spoken to us, it's been clear that he cares very much about the job. He knows the workings of the department intimately, right? I have some faith that he has done a good job up to now, and he will do a good job. But that is not enough. Just saying this is the guy is just not enough. We as council have a duty to represent the people, and we have a duty to hold the mayor accountable, not just to the letter of the charter, but to do everything he can to build trust, to do everything he can to show everyone in this city that the police are going to move toward looking like them and respecting their rights. I just don't think that's happened. What I would like to see happen is for there to be multiple candidates. And maybe if there were multiple candidates, I would come back here afterward and I would say Doty's the guy, because I really got nothing against him. But I think we have a duty to vote against this nomination and to tell the mayor, go back and do it right. Go back and show the people that you're listening to them, that you care about their concerns, and that you want to make the police department represent them and win their trust. So that's why I'm going to vote no. Thank you.
Are there any other discussions? Any other
Yes.
Councilman LeBron?
Thank you. Thank you for the floor. I want to start off by saying that since we're using examples of what has happened to us in our life, in our community, I want to share something that has happened to me. At the young age of 8 years old, my family was, my grandfather was taken to me, from us by a victim by way of homicide on Main Street. Now, what that does to you, it takes the blanket of security off of you, and you're raised in a community where you don't feel safe. I've had discussions with Chief Doty. I've had discussions with other folks regarding the police. One of the things that we need in order to continue to stimulate processes, be innovative with processes, be able to enforce expressly issues in our community with the police because of their importance, the number one thing is consistency. Over my last 5 years or 6 years, I don't know how many police chiefs we've seen. I'm not sure how you can implement and be effective in practices when the police department is constantly changing. We need leadership that is consistent. Doty, regardless of what people feel in terms of the candidate, he's obviously someone that's been expressed by people of this council as someone who's good. As a matter of fact, when we heard community comments, it's like, oh, it's good, but the process is the issue. So let's talk about process and what process means. At the same time when the resolution was proposed for Chief Doty, there was also a resolution for a very talented person, for the Chief Operating Officer by the name of Thea Montanez. However, at the same time when those both things were introduced, there wasn't the community outcry around Thea Montanez. There wasn't. Not saying that she's not talented, not saying she doesn't deserve this. Thea, this is not an attack on you. But if we're really talking about processes, well, why not say the processes for the entire thing? Why not candidates for the Chief Operating Officer? Why not making sure that all of the things that we ask for the police chief get said then? Now, I'm not disagreeing in terms of processes, but I think we as a council have an opportunity here. The way that it is stated in our charter, it is appointed by the mayor. Now, I think we have an opportunity as a council to say, at the time when we have the opportunity to change charters, then we could look at that. But that's not what's in front of us now. And so when we talk about good candidates and talk about process, well, we have a good COO, and the process was the same. So I think there's a bit of a ambivalence there in regard to that. And what I want to say to Chief Doty and to all of my council members, violence continues to persist in our community. And please hold me accountable for whatever we need to do to make changes, particularly around gun violence. Because as I said, at 8 years old, I lost my grandfather to murder. And last week, I just lost my cousin to a murder. So it's continuing to change. And I want to share that with everyone because that's how important this is. And that's how important I take this vote for police chief, because it is of the utmost importance. And that's why I'll be voting the way I am. Thank you.
Councilman Clark.
Thank you, Madam President. In 2008, I lost a cousin, fresh out of graduating from high school at the age of 17 to as a homicide. In 2015, in September, Labor Day weekend, I lost a brother-in-law as he was a victim of a homicide crime. Crime exists in this city, and what I can take away from my experience of working with the police department is the fact that there needs to be consistency within the police department with the fact of understanding, and I think the track record would show that there have been more, and if this is not the truth, I stand to be corrected, but I think that we have experienced the police chiefs being more successful that have been hired within the police department versus being hired from outside the police department. And so, given the fact of being around police officers, I had lived with one for about 17 years. My grandfather was a retired Hartford police sergeant. Our understanding that being a police officer in the city is not the easiest, especially in this time, and especially with the community that has a higher percentage of Black and Puerto Ricans. But there needs to come a time that we need to push things forward to make sure that there's more of a demand, a reflection of the police department that looks like many of us up here. And so I would say that I am going to be supporting this nomination from the mayor of police chief, but rest assured that as I serve this council body, that I will be making sure that, going forward, that the hiring process and the sworn officers will grow to continue to look like myself, my sons, and the community that I live in. And under Chief Doty, there has been an increase of those that are hired from a minority background. And so I hope that will be the continued practice. And then the issues of the relationship and trust between the people and the police department will be able to be joined together so we can finally start to work as one city. For far too long, many things have divided us by way of policy and procedure, and I think that now is the role of this council body to start to move the needle and move forward so that now, going forward, we can talk about these issues and taking them on by the horn so now we can actually feel a part of the process and being more inclusive. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Surgeon.
Thank you. Let me say to the community and our listening audience, when the mayor nominated Acting Chief Doty, I was one of those council members where, I would love to see a person of color be nominated. Then I sat back and I listened to Chief Doty and his management ideas that he was going to bring to the table. A couple of things I wanted was to, whether the person was a person of color, white, or Latino. There were issues that was important to me to start working on for the community, and one of those issues was the Civilian Review Board. I talked to Chief Doty about it. I asked him how we can start structuring a body like that. When we talk about trust in the community, I think that's one of the bodies that needs to be strengthened so the community can feel that if they are grieved, there is a body that will listen to them. So Chief Tody agreed to work with the council regarding structuring and restructuring the Civilian Review Board so we can bring more trust to the community and to the police department in the city. As an immigrant in this country, and I've got my citizenship, or else I couldn't be here, one of the things Councilman said was we have to start really working together. Our city is so divided by our different silos that we really haven't looked at what do we have in common. And we have a lot of things in common throughout the entire city. Whatever happens in the South Hartford or North Hartford, West, we're all affected. So I'm looking for someone, a police chief, who is going to make all of us, is going to prioritize all of our community. And that's what I'm looking for. So I am going to vote for Chief Tody, and I'm told him I will vote for him so I can work with him to develop the trust with our community and to also develop a foundation in the police department. Over the years, a lot of our police officers of color have retired. So there is no bench that the mayor could have gone back and looked for someone of color to be chief. So I'm going to work with Chief Tody to develop those bench in our community again. I'm going to work with the chief so that we can start hiring the black and brown kids in our community to be police officers. They're the ones who are going to protect us. So, Chief, I'm going to hold you accountable. I will vote for you. And I'm hoping that in the next 3 years, 4 years, while I'm in council, we can work together in partnership for the betterment of this city. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to piggyback on everything that my colleagues have said. And with my life experience, I grew up around guns, around drug cartels, and I can tell to many that if you haven't lived that kind of life, you could never relate to it, that sometimes we are quick to judge or to point a finger. It could be a murder, a gun violence, and we quickly point the finger that the Hartford Police Department, and I'm going to say this because I've heard it many times, are not quick enough to act. As a community, we need to come together. We need to support our police department. We need to meet them halfway so that we can all work together. And like I've always said to my constituents, you voted for me. As Councilwoman Rosado, I can tell everyone here and the viewers that are watching, hold me accountable. The reason why I am supporting Chief Tody is because I have worked with him and Assistant Chief Medina for the past 17 months, and they've always listened. And I think that through change, you need to have, within leadership, individuals that listen. And I've had many conversations with Chief Tody. We've worked with tax in the community. And it's something that we're all going to work towards together. And I'm asking the public that is watching us to please work with us. If you see something, say something. Any other discussions? Councilwoman Bermudez.
Through you, Council President. So I just want to thank all of the council colleagues who've expressed their sentiments tonight. Certainly, we've been discussing this issue now for almost close to a month. And for myself and for Councilman McDum, we do feel strongly about the process. In reference to the nominations of appointments for COO versus HPD chief, they're obviously two different roles. One supervises 400 plus employees on a daily basis, that interact with 129,000 residents, and one does not. For us, it's really important to be consistent and to have a true and innovative process. And when we say consistent, we're saying it's important that we do simple things like a consistent evaluation process, which right now has not been carried. So there are not written, and we've said this before, and has been confirmed, there are not written performance evaluations going 6 months into the position and a year into the position. No written document exists. And so when we have gaps that we have seen exist as part of this process, then it's hard for us to be able to really say with 110% certainty that we were in favor of it. And so we don't want to divide in our city. All of us serve on council for the same reasons, to serve the community and to have the best community possible. Other places have figured this process out, so should we. We will be in support of Chief once you have your vote, so I'm sure you're gonna get appointed tonight. But I also echo the same sentiments that my Councilman McDum stated earlier in reference to the process.
Are there any discussions? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bermudez,
No.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilman Gale,
Yes.
Councilman LeBron,
Yes.
Councilman Mictum,
No.
Councilwoman Rosado,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rossetti,
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez, and Councilwoman Surgeon.
Yes.
Item passes.
Congratulations, Chief Doty. And we most likely look forward to working with you. Before I pass on to to Councilman Sanchez, a point of personal privilege, I just want to say, and for all the viewers that are watching us, that the position of town clerk is open for anyone who wants to apply. We will have a committee of the whole meeting to take and interview candidates for this position on March 4th at 7 p.m. Councilman Sanchez?
I thought you didn't want the mic.
This is for everyone else. So, this is a citation to recognize an organization within the Dominican community. And it's called the Comisión Permanente de Efemérides Patrias. Still practicing my Spanish here. Now I have Cirilo Bonilla. Su nombre?
Elizabeth Villanueva.
Juan Tejeda, McLean.
Manny Ramirez.
So I'm going to read the citations as follows. In recognition of your outstanding commitment in serving and advocating in the city of Hartford, Comisión Permanente de Efemérides Patrias is an organization that is dedicated to advocating for the Dominican Republic. For many years, paving the way to have many people learn more about the culture and history of the Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic will be celebrating its 176th anniversary of being independent since February 27, 1844. We hope that Juan Pablo Duarte Dominican Club, through the Comisión Permanente de Efemérides Patrias, will continue to persevere in making our community proud. On behalf of the Court Common Council and the residents of the city of Hartford, we thank you and support your advocacy in the Hispanic community. Gracias.
Gracias, gracias.
Now I will attempt to translate.
Antes de nada, gracias a esta gran asamblea, he visto
Before anything, he wants to thank the entire council for their support.
Para la comunidad dominicana es un honor estar esta noche aquí recibiendo este pergamino.
It's an honor for the Dominican community to receive the citation.
La organización del Club Social y Cultural Dominicano
The organization is for the culture of the Dominican Republic.
es una organización sin fines de lucro.
It's a nonprofit organization
Creada por voluntarios de la comunidad
created by the volunteers from the community
para unir las comunidades.
to unite the community of the Dominican Republic.
Nosotros como ciudadanos de Hartford
We, as the citizens of Hartford,
estamos comprometidos a llevar la voz
we are committed to carry the voice
a los municipios de este estado.
to the municipalities of the state.
Doy las gracias nuevamente a todos ustedes y a todos los asistentes aquí. Y voy a pedir de favor, le quiero presentar por un minuto a uno de los ejecutivos de la Comisión Permanente de Efemérides de Patria.
So he gives thanks to everyone here in the community, in the court, and we're going to pass the mic on to
Thank you very much. It's been probably the 8th times that I've been working together with my friends Cirilo and Manny and his wife. So it's a great honor to be part of this. We work so much, but we take the time to do it over and over. I think it's the 21st time that Cirilo has been doing this. And as a resident of the city of Hartford for 20 years in this May, I'm an immigrant too. I know how hard it is, but we keep it together. We work hard for everything that we want in life. Thank you very much.
Quiero dejarles saber a todos ustedes
I want to let everyone know
qué es la República Dominicana, dónde queda la República Dominicana
what is the Dominican Republic
y quiénes somos los dominicanos.
and who are we.
En 1822 fue invadida por la República de Haití. En 1822
In 1822,
fue invadida por la República de Haití.
It was occupied by Haiti. In 1822, the Dominican Republic was occupied by Haiti. It lasted for about 22 years until 1844.
Y un grupo de patriotas, entre ellos Juan Pablo Duarte, Francisco de Rosario Sánchez y Ramón Matías Mella,
And a group of young people, Juan Pablo Duarte, Francisco Rosario Sánchez, and Ramón Matías Mella,
formaron la Sociedad Secreta La Trinitaria.
they create a social secret organization called La Trinitaria.
Cada persona que contactaban tenía que contactar 3 personas más.
So each member has to bring 3 more members, and it was totally secret.
Una noche del 27 de febrero
One night on February 27,
de 1844
1844,
se dio un grito de alerta y de libertad.
so that was the blast when we were crowding and walking for freedom.
Todos los dominicanos estaban preparados en ese entonces.
Yeah, they were prepared for that moment.
Y ahí comenzó la independencia.
How the Dominican Republic as a nation began.
Gracias a Dios,
Thanks God.
somos libres e independientes.
We're a totally independent nation,
Agradecemos a Estados Unidos
also a free nation, and we're very thankful about the United States of America
siempre el apoyo que nos ha dado con la democracia.
for all the support through the years. Thank you. Gracias. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And so would you let the public know and everyone know when is the flag raising?
Yes, it will be this Saturday, the 29th, February 29th, by noon in the Capitol building, and by 1 o'clock over here in the City of Hall. And then by 2 p.m., we're moving to SAMA, Spanish American Merchant Association, 95 Park Street, and we're going to have a Dominican Sancocho. Everyone is invited. Yes.
Sancocho is the Latino gumbo.
Yes. Without any further business, this meeting is adjourned.